Welcome to another broadcast of Cracking the Wealth Code. If you're in business and you want to learn more about doing business, you want to learn about access to capital, how to leverage capital and mitigate debt, this platform is for you. Today, I want to ask a very important question, and that is how important is sales? How important is sales to the success of your business? And what I want to say to you is that when you remove sales from the business process, that business by default will fail. But based on our interaction with businesses from across the world, we see that many entrepreneurs and rising stars in business, they struggle with sales. So today what I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce you to 5 factors to master the sales. So stay tuned and we will do a deep dive into those issues. But just before I get started, let me do some housekeeping. This program comes to you with the kind compliments of Global Capital Inc. And Global Capital Inc. It's a unique organization that work with businesses to help businesses to understand financial instruments. By that, what do I mean? They work with you to ensure that you understand debt, equity, credit, creative financing, and hard money instruments. They work with you to ensure that you're able to access a financial portfolio to scale your business and ensure that you have the best strategy in terms of leveraging your access to capital. Last but not least, they also help you to understand how to mitigate debt. Many of you would have heard me say that when you understand the process of debt mitigation, this process in of itself can really help you to reduce the cost of doing business. So Global Capital Inc. is set up to really provide tremendous amount of information to you as an entrepreneur, as a rising star in business to win when it comes to financial leverage. Again, if you find this program interesting, I want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share. Press that bell so you will be the first to be notified when these programs are being hosted. This program also comes to you with a kind compliment of Pitch Deck 101 LLC out of New York. And Pitch Deck 101, it's a very unique institution also. They also work with you to provide capital to businesses across the United States of America. So we're able to provide funding, debt, equity, credit, creative financing to businesses in about 51 states in the United States of America. So if you're in the US and you need access to capital, debt, equity, credit, possibly want to access capital at 0% APR, I want to encourage you to go to that website, pitchdeck101.org, and navigate that website to learn more about what we are doing. All right. The third company is 10x B&M LLC out of New York. And 10x really help you to understand how to build a strong brand, a brand that can easily connect with your ideal client and bring you to that point where you're getting visibility, reach impact, client conversion, you're building confidence, trust, and credibility in the minds of your consumer. So these 3 institutions, they are built to ensure that you win in business. So welcome back to today's broadcast. Today, we are going to be looking at a very important topic, which is 5 factors to master sales. For those who might be joining me for the first time, my name is Gary Thompson. I'm a director of private equity investment for the 3 companies I've just mentioned early on. And I must say, it gives me tremendous pleasure to introduce today's topic to you, 5 factors to master the sale. Now, as I said at the beginning of this program, millions of entrepreneurs and rising stars in business, they struggle when it comes to making that sale. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you 5 factors And I trust that you have your pens, your paper to take note on what I'm going to be going into today. Now, factor one, I'm going to call this your BVP. Factor one is your BVP. Now, what do I mean by the BVP? I mean your business value proposition. And in factor one, the BVP needs to be very strong. All right. The business value proposition must be strong. All right. So it's important for you to understand all of this. Now, to build a strong BVP, it means that you need to know who it's being built for. And you need to ensure that you have the right information to guide you in the product innovation process or the service innovation process. So the BVP must be strong. Factor one. Factor two, the BVP business value proposition must be relevant. It must be relevant. You can have a strong value proposition, but it's not relevant. All right. You can have a very, very strong value proposition, but it's not relevant to specific demographics or target market or the ideal client. You need to be fully aware of this. So when you build that strong value proposition, you know it has relevance to the specific target market, because when you were building, even before you start that building process, you took the time to identify how relevant it is to the target market. So factor two is relevance. Factor three is urgency and immediacy. Is the BVP urgent and has immediacy to the ideal client? These are factors that you seriously want to consider. And a brief example that I want to give on this: you're into business, and your role is to serve as a management consultancy firm, but you're providing training as compared to helping businesses to access new clientele base. You're providing, let us say, training on HR. Which one do you believe has greater urgency and immediacy? Based on the research that we are doing, we are seeing the brand, the BVP that is able to help the client to optimize their clientele base and enhance client conversion will have greater urgency and immediacy than the training process. All right. So you want to be very clear about this. This is one example. A second example that I might want to give here. I want you to think about an individual. They have 10 pairs of shoes, and you are in the shoe business. So you develop your value proposition to put in front of that target market. Now, shoes, because of the fact that the demographic already have 10 pairs of shoes, your value offer may not strike them as being urgent and immediate. All right, it may not strike them as being urgent and immediate. But you don't notice this information. You don't have this data. But we're saying to you, to be effective in the sales process, to master the sales process, you need to put yourself in a position of strength to ensure that you can easily identify if your BVP is urgent and immediate, if it is reaching an urgent need and an immediate need of the ideal client. And there are ways in which you can deduct the information. Before the end of this program, I will talk about that, so you have that body of knowledge also. So factor three is urgency and immediacy. You want to be certain that you're fully aware of this and you're in control of this process. Factor four is where we talk about accessibility. So you innovate a product or a service. It's a strong brand. It has market relevance. It has urgency and immediacy. But can the ideal client access your MVO, your minimum viable offer? Can the ideal client access your MVO. Accessibility is so important when you want to master the sales, when you want to make that sale. So you need to ensure that you're taking into consideration all of these factors as you position yourself to make the sale, to make impact, to optimize client conversion, because in the absence of this, you're likely to struggle. Factor five is what we refer to as the clients or the MVTM, the minimum viable target market, ability and willingness to invest, all right, to invest their disposable income to pay for your MVO, the minimum viable offer. The client must be in a position of strength. They must have the disposable income. They must have the willingness, the ability to pay for your minimum viable offer. Now, all of the above may stand. You may have a strong value proposition. The value proposition may be relevant. The value proposition may have immediacy and urgency. The target market may be accessible, but guess what? The target market may not be able to pay for the product. You have to ask yourself whether you're in business or a charity. So, having these five factors being carefully considered is going to put you in a better position of strength to master the sales outcome. Now, everything that I've just talked about is not automatic. You just don't arrive at having a strong value proposition. You need data. And this is one of the reasons why in yesterday's program, we spoke about the absolute buyer data markers, because it is your ability to use the absolute buyer data markers that will enable you to predetermine how to innovate products and services that are strong. The strength of the BVP, it will largely depend on how the value proposition aligns to the ideal client and is able to add value and fix problems. That too enhances how strong the relevance of the BV value proposition is. Important. You need data. If you don't have data, you don't know if you're building a strong brand. You might just be starting a business like what so many young people do. You start a business without putting yourself in that position of strength to predetermine if you are building a strong brand, if that brand is relevant to the target market, if there's urgency and immediacy to the target market, if you can access the target market, and last but not least, if your ideal client is in that position of strength to pay for your product. So if you have all the first four, but not the last, your sales effort is going to be on the mind, because you may have a strong brand, you research it, you build a strong brand, that brand has relevant to the target market. The ideal client has immediate needs and urgent needs. You met that. The ideal client is accessible, but then the ideal client is not in that financial position of strength. They don't have the disposable income to pay for your product. Now, if you are not able to connect with perhaps government agencies and other charitable organizations that may be willing enough to offset the cost for the ideal client, your sales effort is going to be undermined. You see, but when you have the right information, you're in a much better position to master your sales outcome. So the objective of today is to give you some information in terms of the importance of these unique programs that we are doing, and to help you to move your brand, position your business to move to a whole nother level. So I trust that this information that you get today was useful. Now, if you find today's information interesting, I want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share. Press the bell, and so you will be the first to be notified when these contents are coming out.